I can see that.
Okay, let's see. It's preparing the retransmission live of the meeting. So I will.
Can I do something with that? No. Oh, I can.
We are on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, it has to be mute. Okay.
We should start talking then.
If I think you have to mute the sound on YouTube. Okay.
I stopped the YouTube thing. I'll just be with you.
Okay. Okay. So everybody will join us now. We have two people with us. So let's wait a little bit.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome. Everybody please say hi.
Everybody say love.
Let's ask if they see us.
I'm sorry, I'm drinking.
Fine. What are you drinking?
It's some Riesling, I think, wine.
Okay.
It's that kind of time of period, isn't it? That kind of period where you need to
it's
drink.
not the proper glass, but it's okay.
It's true. Don't judge me.
I don't. Let's see. Nobody's seeing us.
I saw us when I clicked the link.
Let's see. Let's see if we have. I think it's just the. I'm gonna ask Jesus if he's watching us. If anybody is watching us.
Was it just us who would see it?
This is the link. I'm gonna send.
Oh, maybe it's just us.
No, 3 people. There is 1 person watching us now.
I added myself.
Okay. Okay. Well, 6 people. So everybody's joining now.
Oh,
so we were not late.
Aaron Tapico is here. So.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. So hi, everybody say hi, please. Hi. At least the Tapico brothers are here, so which is good. Good.
Very nice.
Very nice. At least we are 3.
Exactly. We'll be thousands later.
Okay. Yes, everybody's here. So everybody's joining. We have a delay of 10 seconds, I think, from the live video too. So be patient with everybody saying hi. So we are not alone, Albert.
Hello.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Should we start?
We should.
Okay. So Albert, please introduce yourself. Well, he's Albert Edelman, the chairman of REMA, the Early Music European Network.
That's right. Yes.
And what about yourself, please?
So in REMA, we have almost 100 organizers at the moment, festivals, concert halls, like where I work in Bruges for the Concertgebouw, where I'm the early music programmer. And yeah, what we do in REMA is basically meet around themes. We visit each other's festivals. We see how things are done. We discover talents. We discover trends, if you want. We are super trend watchy. No, we're not really trend watchy, but it's very nice to see and to discover how festivals, how early music is presented in Europe, because there's such a huge difference. It was immediately clear to me also when I became chair of REMA that the needs of people are wildly different from country to country. There's some countries that still need to explain to the people who give them money what a harpsichord is. And then there's countries who are thinking, okay, an early music concert, that's nice, but how can we take it further into the future, and everything in between, basically. So that's what we are thinking about and talking about and meeting about.
So you go from town to town in different countries.
Yes.
to visit concert halls, festivals.
Yes.
do you still increase? Are you increasing? Are you growing? Do you add people, more new people in your?
I would like that. We've been very lucky to have in the last year a number of younger organizers, also people from countries that were not represented yet in REMA. Like we had well, did we have something? We had something in Norway, of course, but we doubled the members in Norway. We went to two.
Okay, wow.
We got
That's good. That's cool.
we got exactly 200%. We have a very exciting new Polish member. We just had a new member from Portugal. Yeah, so we're growing, and what I'm looking for personally is people who get around, who see things, and who can bring a certain innovation to the scene, because not everybody can do everything, of course. I'm well aware that many festivals, many of our members have very different budgets, but it's interesting to see how people use their limited funds or their enormous funds. Who knows? There's everything. But
So
how they use,
how many Spanish festivals are in REMA?
Oh my God!
You know?
Don't ask the questions I don't know the answer to immediately. Let me go to our website. I don't know.
I know some.
I know some too. No, we have quite a few, but it's true that the South is underrepresented, shall we say. Italy is okay, but Spain and Portugal is still a little low.
And why is that?
Oh,
love Spain. Come
1,
on,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have six members, which is decent, I would say. But I don't know. It's hard to tell. In Germany, we have almost no members. I think just a handful, and it's a giant country with a festival on every street corner, it seems. So the question there is: do they need REMA? Do they know what REMA does? Is it useful for them to join REMA? It costs a little bit of money as well, of course. So there's the question: can you participate in REMA so that you get something out of the network? But I think as we grow, as we get more people who are clever thinkers, who are sometimes also performers, the network gets richer, and we grow in strength, basically. And that's what I like, and that's what I'm what the team is working towards to.
And do you work presentially? I mean, physically, or do you mostly work like now? We're doing everything online because you are based in Belgium now.
Yes.
Although you are Belgium now.
I am also Belgian. That's true. Yeah, that's right.
From Holland. You are Dutch.
Yeah. We do have an office with 3 amazing people working for REMA, and they clearly do most of the work. And then there's the executive board, of which I'm then the chair, and we do everything remotely. It's quite easy. So for us, the switch from the biggest switch for us was not having conferences, which is a big shame. We were supposed to be in Krakow in the week before Easter. We would have gone to Vannes in France for the summer meeting. None of this is happening. So we're thinking remotely, the 8 of us, how we can stay relevant, what REMA could do, where we could meet, who we could meet, maybe also think about the direction that REMA should take in the next years. We're all up for writing new subsidy dossiers for Europe soon. So it's a great time for reflection, and it's also very boring that we cannot meet each other in person, because I really would like that. Just hear a concert. Give me a concert.
Yeah, of course. For us, it's also the same. It's very difficult to do everything from home. And how do you see the scenario in Europe? You talk to very different people in so many different countries. How do you see the early music scene now? Do you see a lot of differences, among countries, or?
Yeah, I think so. There's well, we have Germany as an example that's doing a lot, and even if it's not perfect, you can see that if someone can explain where there's a problem, the people with power and money will think about that problem and maybe propose a solution, maybe not the ideal solution, but at least something is happening. In Belgium, the response has been minimal.
Really? From the government,
from
you
the
mean?
government, yeah. And the same for the Netherlands, of course. The response has been absolutely minimal. There's 300 euro, minimal, very little money, and maybe worse. I mean, money is one thing, but there's not a real realization that the whole sector of live performance is in danger. That we don't know what will happen when there will not be any performance. I just read this message from Opéra de Paris. They may not open for the whole next season. What does that do? What does it mean? What does it mean for all these people not to be performing because of the physical distancing rules you have to? So it's not always practical or economical to put things on. So I am very happy that we're all at different speeds. That's not something I'm happy about. And with REMA, we're also fighting to get things a little more harmonized, because while the solution has to be national,
yeah, of course,
the network is not national anymore. I mean, it doesn't only go for early music. It really goes for all performing arts. It's a European international system, and we exist because we can travel. We exist because we can meet and exchange. And then this is a very early music-y thing. It's all individual people who are put together in various constellations. That doesn't happen if you're playing in a big orchestra, of course. That's a big machine, a big company. An early music ensemble it's a little bit of a mirage. It's there, but it's very much not there as well. So if you're not playing, it's not there. You don't have income, you don't have output, you don't have the inspiration. It's going to be very strange. So I'm not wildly optimistic, I think, for the whole sector.
But do you think that from Europe we can find, because of course everything is so national, even here in Spain we have a national, like a law and rules, but of course we also have our own communities like Navarra, like Castilla.
Yep.
So, and all the final decisions also come from these little places. So how can Europe help us all in the cultural world? How, because Europe has to mean something. I mean,
you would hope that, but I think the meaning of Europe is less in money and more in message. I think if you depend so much on your local government, that makes it a little easier too, because you're close to them, and you can say to the Nevada government, I'm an ensemble here. This is a stress situation that needs some relief. Can you do something? That's one phone call. A phone call to Commissioner Gabriel is not happening. So you have to write letters, and you get responses, and this is all very, very helpful. So I think what would be very good, because, well, a message from the President van der Leyen, from Commissioner Gabriel, and from the Parliament President Sassoli, that would mean something. Of course, there's no binding aspect to any of that, but if they say the situation is grave, we need to stand together. And of course, this message comes out all the time. Commissioner Gabriel says very useful things, I think. And then when the doors close on the meeting where the government leaders meet, I can only hope that she says it again. But this is where we can push to get results from Europe. Of course, there's also lots of money in the Creative Euro budget, but it is used in a different way. There was this call to do projects around COVID. There's research money. There has been, I think, artistic programs as well. Like, what can you do with the fact of COVID? What does that mean to artists? So that. I'm not sure if the money has been given away, but that was a thing that happened. But of course, that doesn't really help you as an ensemble.
No, of course not.
Unless you have this fantastic idea, but just giving concerts is something that you need. Yeah, it's going to be small, it's going to be local, it's going to be personal, which is all what we absolutely love. But will it be international? we have to see. Will it be in big concert halls? We have to see.
How do you see the future, Albert? How do you see it?
Well, for the Concertgebouw in Bruges, we're making all the calculations. We're looking how many people can we fit in. We're maybe pushing a little bit more, but we'll have to see how that goes. And for us, the main thing is do something. Open the doors. If we cannot do one big thing, replace it with a small thing. Sell those tickets, get the people engaged, keep the love alive, something cheesy like that. But yeah, just do something. Make it. Nothing is normal. If this can make it normal, that's good. But it also means that like hundreds of people will not do a concert in our hall, of course, and many of the people who are planned to do a concert will not do so. We'll launch our season tomorrow. We'll present to the world what we had been working on for 1.5 years. Also, the brochure was already done, so we're sending out the book because we had it. But we put a notice on it saying, okay, this is what we wanted, and we'll let you know. We'll let you know, and we let ourselves know too. We're just thinking what makes sense, what is safe, what do we want to present artistically. So I'm very happy we can do that. But I see many people who are just well, and for the festivals in REMA, of course, the situation is bye 2020. Very little can be done. Many people are moving things online, doing something online, maybe one weekend. It's very possible to play somewhere, of course, and to record it and to send it out. That is a nice way to engage the audience. Is it the best way to earn money? Maybe for some people, absolutely. And it's important too, but yeah, to be seen. But I hope that in 1.5, 2 years, we will still all will be there, let's say, so that the structures, the whole architecture of how we used to work with the necessary changes will still be there. And that's something I'm not completely certain of, but of course we're all trying our best.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that in 2 years, situation will be maybe not as it was before. I don't know if it will ever be as it was before. I really don't know. But what I think is that we cannot stop trying. And yesterday I was in, as I'm now directing the Festival of Estella, which is part of REMA, of course. No.
Yeah.
They are all, we were like, I don't know, 26 festivals there. And everybody they really want to do them, Of course, the festivals which are funded by themselves with private money is more difficult. The festivals which have money from the government, it's much better because, of course, they don't depend on the ticket office.
Yeah. So, do you think that? Sorry, I wonder about private money because we may need it. Some countries are better at it than others. How's the situation in Spain?
Some sponsors are just saying no.
Because they need their money. The companies are losing.
They want to have the publicity they want to.
Yeah.
So I am there. If there is not a huge festival, they are not interested. So we have some festivals who are struggling because of that, but all of them have the will of doing it. So I think that, I felt a bit better after watching that, because of course I'm in both sides. I'm now, and of course, my main job is as a singer. So I really hope that it will be fine. I'm very worried about choirs and wind instruments because they are the most dangerous ones. Violins can play with a mask. But what about the oboe player? It's impossible.
We're developing things that look ridiculous, but might be safe. And you've seen the videos from the Collegium 1704 with the masks, which is a bit morbid, but it sounds beautiful. So apparently we can find masks that don't ruin that.
No, I received so many questions about, can you sing with a mask on?
Mm-hmm.
So many people have asked me that.
And have you tried?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
And
already tried because, you know, sometimes when it's winter and everybody's got a cold or a
oh.
flu, I wear it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everybody looks at me as if I'm ill or something, but I don't care. And
No.
of course I try, and it's nice. It
Yeah.
doesn't, you
Yeah.
know, because the sound is internal. So of
That's
course
true. Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
different. And by the way, people there, you can ask questions. I mean, you can interrupt us. This is a conversation among all of us. So
Even ask the questions in
yes, you
Spanish
can
if you.
ask questions. I wanted to ask you more questions, which I wrote here a little bit. If I may find them, because I don't know where they are anymore. Oh yeah, we have a question from Laura, which is also a member of REMA. REMA. How was the situation of early music before the COVID-19, and how do you think it will be in the future? What kind of initiatives should the ensembles adapt from now on?
Yeah, that is that's complicated, isn't it?
It is.
It really is. How it was before, there were things that may have needed to change anyway. We were in a situation, I mean, we're all very aware of this. It's everywhere. We were in a situation that was not very sustainable in the long term, both socially and environmentally as well, of course. So one thing that would have needed to happen is to rethink how can we do one concert in Sweden and fly back and forth there and back, shall we say? Can we do that? Big question. And now we can't. We can't fly anyway. So that's a big change. Do we want to go back to single concerts somewhere, or do we need to think harder and really realize that we're in this together? This is a question that many organizers ask. We in Bruges have a rule that is not fixed, but it's something we think about a lot. So one, either arriving or departing can be by plane, but the other leg needs to be by train or something more. Yeah, which means there needs to be another concert that is at train distance from our concert. This is in everybody's.
Get used to travel by train. I mean,
of course, yeah.
I've been to Paris by train and from Paris to Belgium by train, and it's, you know, maybe we have to go back to a slower life. It's so necessary also for the world. I think at the end nature always wins, so we have to listen to it, I think.
It does in a way, but we can push hard. We can push really hard, and it's it maybe nature is a bit too flexible. Yeah, so that's, but realizing that we're in it together. So getting more concerts in a row means the ensembles working, the organizers working together, and just being clever about it. The agents, of course, we all forget the people who are in between, but producers, agents, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole, even the press people working independently, they're all sitting at home doing what they can, but not earning enough. So that is one thing that will probably change. If you want to have an international career, you need to do that work too, to be responsible together. What can you do musically? Maybe is a question that is, I don't know, what is that the basis of the question? What we can do? I think it's more about organizing than about playing, than about how we do what we do. I think there's no real risk of early music disappearing.
No, of course not.
That's not a thing. It's popular enough. But yeah, we'll need to develop a certain flexibility, I think, from both sides, actually. I mean, I may want a very specific program. My colleague in Brussels says, well, I want the artist, but not that program, then one of us needs to say, either we give them a lot of money to prepare all of that, or we find a middle. And
happens here as well. You know, some organizers, they ask us for, you know, these heritage programs. So we have to investigate, we have to edit the music, we have to, you know, perform it, rehearse it a lot. And they don't want to pay us because, you know, it's early music has to be cheap. So we have this kind of fight.
That's why we love it
with the organizers, because we, you know, it's our duty, you know, to perform music which has not been heard before with the highest quality. So we need to have a bit of freedom. And
there you see, it's not completely on the same level, but medical research and musical research, it's real work. It's not just for like, oh yeah, I love going to libraries and working on something. No, it's hard work. Convincing people that it's hard work, and then buying that the result of that hard work is hard work in itself. One thing maybe that music just gets more expensive to do for us. If artists want to be paid what they're paid now, or preferably more, if people need to travel by train, I hope we can keep ticket prices low, because the governments say this is a very good development, let's invest in that. But there's it's all part of a very complicated equation at the moment, where we have to see there's so many crossing lines: economical, social, environmental. So it's
but we really have to rethink everything we are doing, I think.
Yeah, and at the same time also not rethink maybe everything. I'm always a bit scared when people suggest to just break it all away and think of something new, because if that would have been there, we would have already started doing that, and we're really not. And also, it's just too important to make good music. And if you start from that has a price in time, in money, in interest. Things follow from that. You can do music in all kinds of ways, but there's this gift where do you want it cheap, do you want it good, or do you want it fast? And they're never on the same line. That's maybe the thing. So we want to start with good.
Of course, that's the first thing. We have to start with good. There is a reflection from Pablo Álvarez de Ulate, which is, do you know Pablo?
I think so.
He's responsible of music in Acción Cultural Española. He says, this is time for deep rethinking. Music is near of nature and architectural heritage. Music really is healthy, and of course improve the economical development too. And we have a question from Jesus Maria Garcia Rejula. Hi, Jesus. Do you know if there is any true research in progress about the consequences of playing and singing, both for players and audience? When can we expect to have the results?
The second question is...
Yeah, there is one. I've seen one.
There's many. And we also should think about if everybody now needs to do the same research over and over again. But fine, let's do the research. Orchestras are testing how bad it is, basically, how bad the spread is. I forget which orchestra it was, and I think there's also a British orchestra who does that. And there's also been research into singing. And it turns out that if you have good technique, you don't spread. If you have bad technique, you lose lots of air. So
that's the thing, you know.
Be good and don't kill people.
You know, I think my singing teacher, Lisa and Mariana, both, I don't know if both or not, they are here just now. And because I saw them saying hi.
I'm so proud of them.
Thinking, me too. I'm very proud of them. Really, and they always say that singing is internal, because of course the sound is internal. That's why when someone kidnaps someone on a movie, they put this sellotape to stop the sound to come out. So the sound is internal, and the speaker is the mouth. So the consonants are here. Yeah, Lisa is here and they say hi from Ancona, from Osimo. So I think I was reading that because they said that we act as a, I don't know, how can you say aerosol in English, like spray, like the deodorants?
Yeah.
And I think it's wrong.
When we speak, yes.
We would
When you
speak
sing,
like
no.
no.
Yeah.
I think it's the same. It should be the same.
Yeah. Well,
Otherwise,
speaking with good technique is hard, but yes.
yeah. Well, if you speak bad, you cannot sing well, and if you sing well, you can sing well. So
it's possible, yes.
yeah. So I think but this is another kind of conversation.
True.
But I think we are not dangerous. Well, the consonants can be dangerous, like the PTP.
True, but we'll find a way. I've heard from people who are now getting into the plexiglass business for choirs, which is going to be very strange.
Yeah.
But it might be safe. It's harder for amateur choirs because they will rehearse in a small room that is not well ventilated. I really worry about that. There's well, where I come from in the Netherlands, there's a huge tradition of there's hundreds of choirs with hundreds of thousands of singers, and
of course.
they will maybe not be able to do that for a while. For professional singers, the concern is maybe a bit less. There, a solution can be found, and you can stand at distances. For today, we thought about a vocal ensemble. They're small enough to take the whole stage and just be well proportioned and still sing together. So
the problem are these big choirs, you know.
Yeah.
For me, that's the main problem.
There's too many people in one place, basically. So if a concert is too big, if an ensemble is too big, orchestra and choir for the big Messiah, for the Passions, for Verdi Requiem, probably not for a while. But early music rarely gets enough money or use for stuff like that. The music doesn't need it.
I think we are going to be the lucky ones. I mean, the small ensembles, the string quartets.
We'll be the first to play again. Yeah.
I think so. I think we've been the first to stop as well, the musicians. But I think we are going to be the first ones to go back on stage, hopefully.
I hope so too.
Yeah, of course.
I hope so.
And I also had a question about REMA. REMA. It's a European early music network.
Yes.
But it's mostly formed by festivals. Did you ever think about the possibility of holding early music group as well as an European association of early music ensembles? Or
I think it's
do you think it would be useful to do that?
I think it could be very useful. I think yes, no, it's what we want is I don't like to use the word defend because it's
I know
it's like it's so fragile, we need to defend it. No, it's vibrant, and we want to show to the world how vibrant it is. So what you want to do then is to we could think about we did a meeting a few weeks ago with REMA, just an open Zoom call for everybody who wanted to join, basically just to share and to exchange. We had little breakout groups for various themes. One was digital, one was how do we find a common voice, and everybody had very interesting discussions. And it was so inspiring to see that there were not that many REMA members, I have to say, so bad members, but there were, not you, Raquel, you're fine.
I didn't know, I didn't hear,
See,
about it.
We're working on our communication. But it was a really good exercise in explaining how we all can support each other. We're all hanging together in this thing. So we will continue organizing these open calls, as it were.
I will not miss next month.
Thank you very much.
But you just call me.
Exactly. But it's really about it's about this community, like you say, because we are all working on the same thing. That also will be reflected in November when we have a big early music summit in Brussels, in Beaux-Arts. where we are developing a program together with the podcasts that were launched yesterday. Talks with everybody we could think of, all the categories working on early music research, builders, record labels, teachers, artists, of course, organizers, and thinkers of all kinds. And we're going to put them together, shake them, and see what comes out. My ambition for the summit is really to present maybe not as many non-early music people, but really to introduce, to not only speak to each other, because we do that a lot in early music. It's, for me, it's interesting to see other points of view and to be inspired by that. So we want to make the Brussels event a bit challenging, maybe, and really get some diversity. And that is looking good. I'm very happy. We cross our fingers that we can have the event live as planned. Otherwise, we'll just do. But we'll work hard on making it online and getting the discussions going as we planned them, because there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn from each other, and
that's what I think.
Yeah, the meeting of artists and organizers and just other forces is where we get our strength.
Of course, yeah, of course it is. And for this showcase of that we are doing in Brussels, which is the 22nd of November, I think.
Yeah, 2021, 22. Yeah.
Okay, who can go there? I mean, we can go, of course, with REMA.
But everybody is welcome.
Like everybody, like any artist can go?
Yes, absolutely. If you have to buy a ticket, of course, but no, it's really open to everybody, and we wanted to make the program reflect that as well. Make sure that there's something for everybody, but always crossed. So a topic just for artists? No, it will have to be a topic for and artists and builders and artists and someone else and record labels and journalists, and see what happens. So we really hope that as many various people as we can think of will be tempted to come to Brussels and see and meet each other.
Of course. Pablo says again, it could be very interesting to have programmers and musicians working together, trying to attract the audience and convincing sponsors. Convincing sponsors. Working together in communication sounds much better. Right?
Yes. Yeah. It's maybe it is a bit weird because we don't really see that in other sectors of the arts so much, where performers, organizers support. Well, it's not really fair to call them support, but you know what I mean. The non-stage people be together in one place or in one organization. So it's a bit of an experiment too. But I think for the summit, at least, the goal is very clear. And if the goal is clear, we can probably make that make it interesting for everybody, because we are working in the same world, and we just need to make a map together and see where everything is, because it was so surprising to me that I got reactions after our open Zoom call that people said, "Oh, I had no idea you were thinking about that too." I'm like, well, how? Of course we were thinking about that. How did you not think we were thinking about it? I was, oh no, it's just that people are feeling very isolated and lonely at the moment, and
but I think
it's so important and so easy too, because we're all sitting at home, sadly, and why not meet?
I think now, you know what I realized, talking to people even from the government, everybody needs the same, and we all need the same. I think it's going to be the first time that we are more together. We are more together than ever. That's what I really want to think. Maybe it's a bit idealistic, but I think now, you know, when I go from my REMA meetings with the board to a Fesclásica meeting with all the festivals, they speak about the same things. I mean, we speak about the same things. So it's like, oh my God, we are all waiting for subventions, deadlines, you know, we have these phases in Spain, like phase 0, that nobody can go out. Phase 1, that some regions have phase 1, like Navarra, but some like Madrid, they don't. So it's like, what the hell are we gonna do? That's the main question. And when. So everybody is talking about the same things, and even people who work in the Ministry of Culture, they are just waiting, no?
And they're also looking at the regions.
And that's very important. So we really have to stand together, as you said before. And you know, yesterday we had also a meeting with this lawyer, I told you before, Maria Jose Cardona, and she said the same. You have to be together, otherwise it will not work. And she's right. She was like really hard to us saying that, and she's right. I mean,
that's good. That's very good. It's so easy for the transport sector, for the airlines, to say, well, this is a number. We will never be able to do that. Why is my Siri starting to talk? This is embarrassing.
Siri. Hi, Siri.
What the hell? No, it's playing music. This is a disaster. I'm so sorry. Honestly, it won't stop either.
It's fine.
Shut up. It's good jazz, but we don't need good jazz at the moment, do we?
No.
Where? Oh my God, it's my iPad.
It's fine.
Insanity. Shut up. Oh, there she is. Okay, good.
Okay.
Well, back to our regular program. Yes, so...
where were we?
Unity.
Unity, yeah.
Coming up with a number that we need is maybe easy for the government. So being together is two things. But being together behind one, maybe the arts are worth spending more time listening to more people. You can say, well, okay, art sector, how many millions do you need? Or you can say, okay, REMA, what is happening? Okay, festivals, what is happening? Okay, yes, of course it will take the ministry or the minister, or probably the people working at the ministry, more time, but at least they know better what is needed, and they can tailor the response rather than sending out vague, like, this is a decree. Amazing.
In Spain, we really had direct contact with the Ministry of Culture, and I could tell him our needs, and we all, you know, from different sectors of music, like and also theater, and and at the end he just released this royal decree, which, you know, Aaron Zapico has also a question I told you about before, so he knows about this 3%. Hi, Albert. Thank you very much for joining us. What do you think about and I add ridiculous 6% return fee proposed in Spain in the case of concert cancellations, and what is the situation in other countries?
That I should be more political about it, of course, than to put a value on a decree like that, but it's a bit arbitrary, isn't it? What does 3% mean to people? I know that
for me it's humiliating.
It is, it seems humiliating because it's so small.
You cannot do anything. You cannot pay your musicians. You cannot do anything.
No, but the same goes for organizers. Is it the government that pays the 3%, or is it a tip for the organizers to pay 3%?
Yeah, it's like a possibility.
But the organizer pays.
You may agree with the organizer.
Yeah. Well, let's say the organizer may also agree to pay a third. They can do that.
Or zero.
Or zero, yeah. I think in most countries, I don't think any organizer is getting just free cash from the government to give to artists. That is not happening. Well, it would be useful. It would be very useful. I mean, we'll have halls. We can sell only about 20% of our seats. If we want to have the same offer, someone could buy all those other seats and we can have the same offering. That will not happen, so we have to reduce our offering, which is a real danger for the sector.
Yeah, but when you have public money devoted to a specific concert,
Yeah.
just use it, even if the concert has been
I
canceled. Why
yeah,
not?
it's complicated because, of course,
I
money
know.
for a concert doesn't pay for that concert. It goes in different directions too. And I've been in lots of Zoom meetings, and some very wise person said um, the key thing is for organizations, just structures, to survive. They need to be there for there to be a market for work, basically. If all the festivals that are too small or too fragile die, there will not be any opportunity to make music soon. So if someone needs money for the organization to survive, that is also important.
Yeah,
Maybe
of
not as
course.
important as giving people money to buy groceries, but it's a consideration. It's not like, well, you had the money, so why not spend all of that on us? Which, that's nice, but that's sort of magic thinking that is very dangerous. And waiting for waiting to find different sources of income now seems to me a very dangerous idea.
Yeah.
In September, there will not suddenly be money for anything. It will be the same as now, no money. So what are you going to do when the season starts and you don't have any concerts planned? What does that look like? Will you have to find another job? I mean, it's going down a very negative spiral, of course. But
Yeah, don't, no.
don't do that. But
No,
it's
please.
the reality, I think, that
I know.
that we need to think about. And I'm extremely happy that there's lots of countries, and maybe the same goes for Spain, where people were invited to donate their concert tickets. So the money they had already spent, to not ask it back, but to put it in a fund.
Oh,
Um,
that's nice.
that is nice, and part of that money for Bruges, the Utrecht Festival was very explicit in saying how much money they were putting in the fund. That money goes somewhere that's useful, and it should be more than 6%, because
Well, in
say
Teatro
6%.
Real, they don't give you,
Oh yeah,
it
they
back.
fired everybody, right? Yeah. Oh, they
No,
don't give it back
no,
anyway.
no, no. If you have bought a ticket for 200 euros, they give you like a voucher, just
Mm.
use later. But maybe you live in a different country and you have this
Mm.
in Madrid just for, it's been, this is, and we have more questions here.
Oh
Everybody's
gosh, we
getting
should.
more.
I'll be quiet and just answer the question.
Great. Um, um, Jesus García Rejula. Financial stuff will be a very sensitive point. Do you think that financial support should be focused more on promoting specific concerts or activities and less on supporting groups and artists?
Hmm.
Or maybe just the other way around?
More towards the ensembles.
Do you have to help the structures, the ensembles, or the concerts? Both.
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 But you want, because it's true. I mean, I'm all for giving people free money so they don't starve, which is nice. At the same time, I also know that many people want to work for their money. So where do you put the money in the market so that it gives you work and then you get paid for that work? So that is to subsidize specific concerts, to give money to organizers in this sense, or like a thing where an organizer does something to get an audience in the hall, which, I mean, the money may come from the ensemble for that concert, or the money may go to the organizer. It's going to be so weird and strange and maybe thin what we can do, that any concert that can happen and that someone can support would be useful. At the same time, if you don't, there's ensembles, of course, who have offices, who employ people. What do we do with that? Do we fire them? Many will not come back, of course. This is a real risk. But the same goes on the organizer side.
Of course.
And yeah, it's gonna be strange. So both, but I would still say just make sure there are activities. So stimulate concerts.
Concerts, yeah, of course.
Rather than
everybody wins.
Yeah,
With concerts.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, sorry.
No, no, no.
No,
Tell
more
me.
questions. More questions.
More questions.
More the same. Maybe I'll just play some jazz in the meantime.
New Voice Studio, my teachers say,
Yes.
well, this is not a question, it's just a comment. Yes, you are right about Unity. We would suggest to take some of the fear out of the equation by inviting people to open rehearsals in outdoor environments with plenty of space, yeah, of course, if the weather allows it, of course. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And a question from Joan Bosch from Academia 1750. Our culture minister has said there will be probably festivals in summer. What do you think of the health guarantees that the audience can ask for and the fear of attending concerts? Will people be afraid of going to concerts? That's
Yes. I mean, I'm not a psychologist in any way, but I think, yes, people will be afraid to go to concerts. And our audience is not the youngest. At the same time, we will have fewer places and people who are dying to go to concerts. So the people who are scared will stay home, and we didn't have place for them anyway, which is terrible, but it might be true. No, I think we'll get people. We will not get 1,000 people, but we get 200 people.
You know, I thought the same. I thought that nobody would go to a concert, but I think it was Aaron Zapico who did this survey, and apparently like 80% of the people would go. They are not afraid of.
That's a lot.
Yeah. That's quite shocking, eh? Because I wouldn't think about that.
I need to be re-socialized personally. I'm scared of people now. So, but good. Come to concerts. That's now we're safe through the screen. It's okay, but live it's going to be different. No, I'm happy with that. That's a very high number. Amazing.
Yeah, it's very high. Emilio Moreno says, hi, Albert. Hi, Raquel. Hi. Thanks for organizing this talk. What information do you have about replacing cancelled concerts in Europe?
How shall we interpret the question?
I think he means not all organizers want to take responsibility for recovering cancellations, and they don't say anything. Well, it depends on the country and
and also on the organizer. Some of us are taking much more risk than others. Some of us have buffers, others don't. Some of us have large audiences who can then, if they don't ask for their money back, come up with a lot of money that you can then distribute to people who should have been paid, but will be paid less, but still paid. Of course, this is not sustainable either. It's unlikely that we will be able to keep paying people for not giving concerts. This is the first month of a very long, strange period to come, where in the panic, as it were, I think we could provide money and to get people energized, but yeah, I don't really expect it to continue indefinitely. That like our next season, if something gets canceled, the chances of us paying them are a lot less than what they were. It's going to be hard because we're all at the edge of what is economically viable. But postponing concerts, I've been working with a few people. So we have a polyphony festival around the music made in and for Bruges, which is a very nice thing. We do it every other year. It's not happening this year, of course, but it will happen again in 2022. So we basically moved the whole thing then, thinking it will be a new concert. So we'll just renegotiate basically, because if you postpone it for 2 years, that doesn't make sense to me. There needs to be a sort of horizon where you can say, this is a postponement, and after that it becomes like, yeah, well, especially if you then can pay a third and be paid only 2/3 in 1 year, that feels like not stealing necessarily, because you still get the money you owed, but it feels like a very badly paid concert.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah.
So like in 2 weeks, fine. In 6 months already, I would be a little hesitant to feel that it's fair.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We have more questions. We have some questions. Sara Illana says, hi, Albert. In your opinion, and in terms of private funding for our ensembles, is there any legislation that we could consider and adapt for our own interest?
Oh,
Well, you are like the wise man who knows everything, you know?
No, there's a lot of, in Belgium, we have a complicated system where you can have people invest. Like maybe in Spain, you have already a film investment system where companies can invest in a film and then get tax deductions on their.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that already exists for music too. Does it
Yeah,
exist?
that, but it's quite, it's really vague. It's and
You have
it
to be
has
very
to be
big.
innovated, and
Yeah.
the regulation is quite shitty. So
Yeah. So that's just, that you have to be big. It only works for big things. In general, you would just want to encourage people giving, and you can do that by legislating well or by being a good government and saying that it's a worthwhile investment. I remember the Dutch government when a lot of subsidies were cut in 2011, 12, where the government was basically saying every day, like, yeah, well, the arts, whatever. That's not a very encouraging message. Then nobody will invest in the arts. So if you take money out of the government budget for the arts, you want to make sure that other people fill it in. So that is something that I think a government minister can, and also Acción Cultural, they're doing so much.
yeah, you know, he just said it's time for spending and not for saving. It's time to be generous and not austere, but and also austere, but not stingy. Of course, of course.
Yeah, because there's going to be a huge gap, and we want to fill that as nicely as we can.
Yeah, of course. We have also a question from Mario Wada. How do you approach the next festivals from REMA? Will there be room for vocal groups and large orchestras or not?
We don't know. To be honest, I didn't really speak with my colleagues about how they deal with their program. Most don't have large orchestras in any case. It's usually smaller groups. So theoretically, they could perform probably, but if it were not for government restrictions on meetings, I think it will be, like we said before, I think it will be very difficult for large orchestras to perform, but I'm sure they'll find a way. Vocal ensembles too, if they're good. But it will all come, something will come back, of course, but it may take longer than we want.
I think it's going to be, it's going to be longer than we think.
Yeah.
Javier Ulises says, Dear Albert, thanks a lot to share your time with us. As a musician born in Toledo, we had a sad and short time in REMA. I don't understand. Okay, but you probably do. I don't know. Politicians didn't understand the importance of the networking. But maybe he had he had a festival. I would like to ask you about how European colleagues from REMA or northern countries see us as artists or organizers managing culture and cultural networks.
See who? Sorry.
The Spanish probably.
The Spanish in general.
You also said that REMA is not very involved in southern countries. Like
we're a bit. I would say that Spain and Portugal are a bit underrepresented, but that is maybe more to do with people knowing what the network does. And what it is for. I'm sure I didn't explain it clearly enough what it is for. I could give an expose, but it really is about that. It needs to be useful for you to be there. Of course, it's not. It's one thing to be a member and then not come, or to come to one meeting and think like, oh, I don't understand what's happening here, or I'm too much of a musician to be here. But we have members that have all shapes. Basically, we have musicians who I think. Basically all the new members from the last year either run an ensemble and a festival, and it's quite clear that that's not a problem. It can actually be quite useful because it's two different ways of enterprise. And
Javier says, are we too exotic for them?
The Spanish? No. Too exotic. You should see the French. No.
Oops, I hope no French groups are here. I don't think so.
No, every country is exotic in its own way because we have so much to tell each other. Maybe the North. I was in St. Petersburg in September, and the question came up a lot. Are we Western enough? Are we early music enough? Are we good enough, basically? Do we have the right level? And I had to tell them, well, yes, of course, because you are a manifestation of, and they do a ton of research. So they do more research than most ensembles I know. And I said, yes, of course, because you're also a member of the family. So it may be a Russian way of doing things. It may be a Spanish way of doing things. It may be a super businessy Scandinavian. Well, the Scandinavians are all small, but the giant festivals, shall we say, operate on a different level. But I absolutely believe that there's a space for all of that. And our newest member from Portugal is a tiny festival. Which name escapes me now, but it's really small, and they do quite innovative things. And it's also an ensemble, Cite Lacrimas, and it's fun. I love it. And he asked the question, like, but am I too weird? I said, no, you're quite weird enough. I like it.
That's nice. Lisa Payin asks, sorry if we missed this. Are there proposals of festivals or groups or ensembles collaborating with each other? Are there proposals? Yeah, we were talking about the other day that maybe among the ensembles, we really don't work together. And it would be nice.
It's a thing that came up in our open Zoom as well.
Why not? Why don't we do? I ask.
Are you scared? Are you scared to work with another ensemble?
No, I would love to.
Well, what shape would it take, for instance? Because you can. I'm thinking we were supposed to have a Bach Matthew Passion with Vox Luminis and Freiburger Baroque Orchestra, two big things, of course, coming together for a big concert. Something like that we can do more of, and I think it's interesting too, because then you have two very specialized groups just bringing their expertise together. That's great. Or you have an orchestra that then creates a choir of various qualities, or a vocal group that invites an orchestra, and they can also be great. So there's all sorts of options. But
do the festivals in REMA collaborate among each other a lot or not?
We are trying to encourage that more. There have been exchanges where it's easy to call someone if you have a tour brewing, for instance. If there's a tour in the mix, you can just tell them, can you take this concert as well, for instance? So that happens. But I would like it to grow, and we're working on a way to make it so, to make the network more useful in that way, to exchange projects more easily, and make it work, and be more clever about the travel question and the sustainability question of it too. We need to be much more active in searching for opportunities.
Yeah, of course, all of us. Pablo says from Acción Cultural, I consider very important the celebration of FEMA, our fair, with REMA visitors. Of course, we were going to have it in October.
Yep.
That way in Gijón, Asturias, but we decided to postpone it for next year. And of course, you are doing this thing in November, so you ruined our plans.
No.
But I know. But of course, when we'll do our FEMA next year, we will really have to work together to be together, and with Acción Cultural, of course, because they help us to bring you here. So thank you, Acción Cultural, also.
Yeah, I think, but Acción Cultural is doing a lot to get people to Spain, and I think that's quite unique in Europe. Only France has an active visitors program like that, and I think what Spain is doing is more elaborate and more tailored too, because Jorge Lozana invited us to come to his festival, which of course now I think is also not happening. But he too got money. I think it was from Acción Cultural. Not quite sure, but I think it was. And it's at the same time very generous and also very useful, because these visits are often crucial for our thinking and our development. And now we sit at home. It's it's getting boring. The opposite is to go out and actively go out and meet people. And not again, Siri.
Siri, hi.
Yes.
I also invited you for Estella because I think we could in September maybe we could do a REMA meeting, and maybe we could invite some of REMA members and to do a really nice meeting there. If we cannot have the FEMA, maybe we could really consider this visit. And I do it public now because like this I just throw this commitment to you.
Yep.
Which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. One other thing that we've been doing, which I've also really loved, is get us somewhere. We did it with the Conservatoire in Paris. We got the executive board together because we had to meet somewhere, and we spent a half day with students there and gave them they had little pitches for us, and we gave them feedback. And I think we could really, these were students in the final phase. Some had ensembles, some were soloists, and it was just completely fascinating to get their perspective on how their careers could develop. I mean, COVID careers, whatever. We'll have to see how that turns out. But to just keep us in touch with what's going to happen in 5, 10, 15 years, just to anticipate that too. So this is a thing that we love to do. I think it's very useful. You can do it with GEMA, of course, with GEMA, but also with the festivals. I think it would be a very good idea, and just get together with the conservatoire and see
the future.
Things you can do. Yeah, it's easy, and it's also very useful for the schools usually to get this in. So it might be a cheapish idea to fill the curriculum with some professional contacts, because I've remembered one ensemble that I will quite probably have to program because they're just amazing, and I would not have discovered them if I hadn't come to Paris to meet with them.
Of course. So it's been very interesting. I don't know if there are more questions, but I think it's been a very interesting and useful talk.
I hope so.
I don't know what they think. Maybe we just can't wait for their compliments to appear. A compliment to you.
I'll just give you a compliment. Can I? There we go. I think you can. There you are.
Oh, that's nice.
I love it. I love these. I love that you're doing this. Who else is coming this week, actually?
Tomorrow is Javier Estrella, do you know, from Festival de Aranjuez? And on Friday, Iván García del Blanco, who is a politician from the Socialist Party, who is the chief of culture in Europe as well. So he will give us a European vision of how culture is doing.
Yeah.
And what can we do? You know, because he's in the parliament. So, so it's
Parliament is doing interesting things.
That's why I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
Maybe he can just help us a little bit. And of course, with Javier Estrella, he's also a member of Patrimonio Nacional. He's a music assessor. So I think, and from GEMA, we need a stronger collaboration with, it's our heritage.
It's easy to. It's. I mean, we're working together with REMA with I forget the exact name, but it's like the Association of National Historic Palaces and Gardens, which turns out to be a very active organization too, and they're dying to have the patrimony used in a way that it's not used before. So we're like, well, we can suggest concerts, and they're like, yes, do that.
Well, that we have to really.
You can just be available for each other, and
so everybody's saying thank you and complimenti and interesting talk. So it was interesting because we also asked for very interesting questions. So people at home, we wouldn't have done this without you.
Clearly.
As alone, we would have talked about wine or many different things.
Good. Strange jazz. No, thank you all for
thank you all
for joining, and thank you, Raquel, for setting this up.
Thank you, Albert, for your time. Really,
and
I really appreciate it.
We'll see you very soon. Hopefully on a Zoom call.
Yeah, please.
I'll let you know personally so that you don't forget.
Thank you very much.
Good.
To everybody.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.